Boy, I tell you, after the finale of Book of Boba Fett, I was a bit down in the dumps, and thinking, but then I began to think, you know what, it's not entirely conclusive, and there's still some hope and stuff about Star Wars righting the ship at some point. But here we are at Bounding into Comics. Lucasfilm again confirms the Mandalorian in the Book of Boba Fett lead to the sequel trilogy. So, well, let's see. So that's the article here at Bounding into Comics. John Trent reporting on this. So apparently in a blog post on the official Star Wars website, Lucasfilm confirmed the temple being built in Chapter 6 of the Book of Boba Fett is the temple destroyed by Kylo Ren in The Last Jedi. Now, I know there was some amount of confusion because I certainly noticed the similarities of it from Last Jedi and all of that, but this is not the temple that he was living in the movie. That's on another planet entirely. This architecture and style and whatnot is based on that ancient temple, which was supposed to have been the first temple of the Jedi that Luke sought out. Why would he seek it out, especially when he was supposed to be this man who had lost his faith in the Jedi and the Force? I don't know. But anyway, that's where he was. In the flashback, you do see his school having been destroyed and all that. And that was when Ben Solo became Kylo and does all that, wiped it out. And so the idea, apparently, is this is the beginning of that place. Now, this is one of the buildings. I'm sure there'll be others. Where he builds his school. And so the idea being that was some hopeful sign that if Grogu is the first student and not Ben, then that changes things. But, well. So anyway, Christian Baver confirms we've glimpsed Luke's storied temple in the comic books, doesn't matter, and on film, does matter. Although, to be fair, it was mostly rubble and flame in Star Wars The Last Jedi. Now we turn back the clock to see the new Jedi school at its inception, with ant droids working hard to place every stone on the first humble hut. Yeah. So, there you go. That's what they're saying. So, the newly released Chapter 7 of the Book of Boba Fett would also provide more confirmation that the show leads the sequel trilogy, as Grogu is shown wearing the Beskar armor gifted to him by Din Djarin. Or Din Djarin. I keep thinking the D is silent in the second one, right? Anyway, I'm not Mandalorian, so sorry. In Chapter 6, Grogu was given the ultimatum by Luke to choose between being a Jedi and his friendship to Din Djarin. Given Grogu is seen wearing the armor, it appears he chose his friendship with Din Djarin over the Jedi. Yeah. This allows Kylo Ren to become Luke's first pupil, which was confirmed in Star Wars The Rise of Kylo Ren, #3 comic book. So, which, now, comic books, no, they don't matter. They really don't. Half the time, even when they're saying they're canon, writers on a film or TV series knows nothing about it. No one tells them about it. And, well... But wait, in the comic book it said, huh? Yeah, well, that's, that's a bit of flight of fancy. So anyway, boy, these huts look more impressive than the... Lucasfilm, The Mandalorian creator Jon Favreau have made it very clear that The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett lead to the sequel trilogy in the past. Back in 2019, before an episode of The Mandalorian even aired, Favreau hinted the series would explore the early days of the First Order. He told Entertainment Weekly also what could happen in the 30 years between celebrating the defeat of the Empire and then the First Order. You come in on episode 7. The First Order are not just starting out, they're pretty far along. Yeah, it's a really dumb idea that happened. The First Order is just an incredibly stupid idea. But anyway, so somehow things weren't necessarily managed as well as they could have been, and the galaxy ended up in hot water again like that. Yeah, you see, he's trying to explain it better than the movies did themselves, which didn't explain it at all because they were crap. So that's what he's doing. So any idea that he's going to fix it means he's not going to erase it. It looks like to me, based on this. Maybe not. Maybe he's working, he's being sly. He's got to navigate those shark-infested waters. And, yeah, that's true. You do have to navigate those waters. But it sounds more like he's going to craft around the edges of the trilogy a better explanation for why things happen the way they do in it. But you can't fix it because it's still a turd. You're polishing a turd. And that's a problem. So anyway, in an Instagram post, Favreau also revealed an opening crawl for The Mandalorian. It reads, after the stories of Jango Fett and Boba Fett, another warrior emerges in the Star Wars universe. The Mandalorian is set after the fall of the Empire and before the emergence of the First Order. We follow the travails of a lone gunfighter in the outer reaches of the galaxy, far from the authority of the New Republic. So there you go. Yeah, it's pretty much an acknowledgement to it. A little over a year ago, speaking with the Writers Guild of America, Favreau explained he takes the sequel trilogy into consideration while writing The Mandalorian. Favreau was asked, did you have this arc planned out from the very beginning? Specifically, was the appearance of Luke Skywalker revealing that the story was essentially a few years after Return of the Jedi always a set idea from the jump, or something you just arrived on after working with the material? He answered, no, the story unfolded as I wrote it. The Mandalorian inherits a great deal from existing Star Wars stories, and when I write, that context is always a consideration. It became clear that within the established continuity, certain things were likely to transpire. Well, all right, he's not really... Oh, wait. And the follow-up question, WJ asks, are you concerned having placed the story right in the midst of the saga with the latest films having revealed Skywalker's future failure? Because that's what the sequel trilogy does. It says he's a failure. That you're at all pinned in narratively. We have a tremendous amount of freedom afforded to us because of the gap in between the films. Dave Filoni and I are in constant discussion regarding how each story choice is impacted by and would impact existing Star Wars material. Those are now being reflected in his work, Luke Skywalker. All right, he doesn't directly say. He's just saying, all Star Wars material is considered, which would include the sequel trilogy. But it's not as, oh yeah, we're building it up and heading towards that outcome. So yeah, you could weave it any way you want, but it's not something to say, see, he's undoing it. It's not really there in those words. So, Favreau's words are now being reflected in his work as Luke Skywalker is shown full of pride, much like his depiction in The Last Jedi, as he demands Grogu make a choice between... Well, full of pride. He didn't have any pride in Last Jedi. Not only does Luke's characterization of the Book of Boba Fett align with The Last Jedi, but the physical temple... Oh, you mean that he was full of himself, and that was what led to his failure, I guess, is what he's making the point. Then I guess, but I'm not really seeing that in the scene. So you know. But the temple, yeah, it's a similar style and everything like that. That's true. The evidence is clear. The Mandalorian Book of Boba Fett lead to the sequel trilogy. Well, yeah, more so than not, but this, I suppose, still a possibility to get. Yeah, the show you got to look for is Ahsoka Tano. If you still have hope for the Veil of the Force, it's called, the World Between Worlds and stuff. I stopped watching Clone Wars because of the Chrono thing, and I haven't caught up yet. And I re-signed up for D+ to watch the Beatles show, which is, oh man, is that long? And I got to struggle to find time to get through it. So that was the main reason. And then some of the Marvel shows. But the Marvel shows poop the bed too. But they still have a shot of righting the ship on that one. But Star Wars, I don't know. I hope so. But at this point, and I mean, they got to do better shows. I mean, the Boba Fett, beyond just whether or not it finally said, no, we're never going to get rid of the sequel trilogy. We're going to build to it. Then that's pretty much the end of it. But besides that, the show just sucked. It wasn't any good. You got 2 good episodes of The Mandalorian in it, but it's supposed to be the Boba Fett show. And no, they just were lazy with Boba Fett. It's not the character at all. And they didn't even give him a chance, and they don't even explain the character they're trying to get to. It's just lazy. So, stuff like that. It's like, ugh. You got to do better than that and just tease and hint that you might undo the sequel trilogy because we're going to create an alternate timeline in Star Wars. And then, don't worry, we'll satisfy everybody. We'll have 2 different versions of everything out of it. No. Only one wins. But, so, I just not really buying it. But gee, what might have been, you know? It had Grogu. It had both the Beskar and the lightsaber, and that would say, well, wait, what's going on here? What's this mean? And then that would be an intriguing plot to go see in Mandalorian. All they did was just reset Mandalorian back to the way it was, and so he's got his little sidekick, and isn't he cute? And they'll just do the same gags within it, to where they have some narrative where he's supposed to lead to Mandalore and all that. But, I don't know. So anyway, I don't think this looks good. Disney's in a better shape now. The subscribers numbers got a boost thanks to Hulu and stuff like that, but they've got more subscribers, and I'm sure the Kenobi show will have a big draw and boost for them. And so that, see what we're doing is working, and that kind of thing. And of course, it's got to be good. Oh boy, it's going to be Boba Fett level stuff. It's man, that's going to be bad. But the Kenobi show is pretty safe from any kind of looking for clues that it alters the trajectory of the Star Wars overall, because it's set between the two original trilogies. Ahsoka's the show to look out for at this point, to see what they'll do. Mandalorian 3, I think, will just be a retread of the original of the Mandalorian shows, and that's that. In fact, I think where Cosmic Book News had a thing. Damn it! I guess I don't have it anymore. I have to go look. Yeah, Mandalorian season 3, rumored to be the last. So if that's it, they're just gonna kind of wrap it up. Mandalorian could be a character who shows up in other stories. Grogu could go on. That's another thing. He could possibly go back to the Jedi and end up in the Ahsoka Tano show as a recurring character or a featured one. I don't know. And that sort of thing. But anyway, this is a Grace Randolph thing, and she heard it. But it's a possibility. And plus, Pedro Pascal might want to move on and not be committed to a series anymore. So these are the possibilities for Star Wars going forward, and that sort of thing. So it's really up to the Ahsoka Tano series for any hope for any kind of timeline shenanigans happening, and they give you hope that the sequel trilogy will be erased or just sent off to its own pocket universe and that type of thing. It's a big move, so I'm rather dubious of it. I'd love it if it happened, but it's getting increasingly more dubious as time goes by. And I mean, the idea that they're riding the ship, there's still an awful lot of wokeness around Disney, even though there's signs that they certainly recognize that profitability is necessary because the company would be in trouble. But they got a boost now, so now they're going to relax. You just had the ridiculous thing about Snow White and Peter Dinklage costing a lot of little people jobs and everything. Just ridiculous, absurd claims, and so they bent the knee to it. No, you shouldn't have done that. But so the idea that would be enough to sort of sabotage your movie, it still has massive sway within that company. So, of course, with all things, time will tell. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness, so many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.